Right, I think we will get started. We may have a few extra people joining us shortly, but it's super nice day outside. Maybe everyone's outside enjoying their lunch. So this session is being recorded. So if you don't want your face to pop up all over the place, then you can turn off your camera and that will be fine. I will be posting it to YouTube so you can see it later, and I will send out those links to the HR departments and the different email networks that I have access to. So my name is Cara Miller. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a campus dietitian through Sodexo. I cover the greater Nashville area, and I'm really excited to be here with you today. February is Heart Health Month, and so today we're going to talk about knowing your numbers. I think a lot of people are talked to by their physician about the different numbers that come back, cholesterol, their lipid panel, things like that, and it's not always discussed in full detail. And so I wanted to just go over the numbers a little bit today, and then how nutrition can play a role in those as well. Just so we're keeping the focus on Heart Health Month for the month of February. And then next month, March, is actually National Nutrition Month. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up as well. A little disclaimer, always speak to your doctor. This presentation does not intend to take the place of medical advice. So please make sure that if you have any additional questions, or you don't know your health history, or you haven't received these numbers, have a conversation with your doctor. They're usually very open to it. They want to help. They want to help you understand. So come with your list of questions. You can ask me some of them if they pertain to the numbers or nutrition, but if it really does pertain to your medical health, make sure that you are speaking with your physician. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that I have been working with a few different HR departments. So I know Belmont University and specifically, they have the Blue Cross Blue Shield reward points. And this does count for that. I did get this one approved, and I'll be working with them to get the future sessions approved as well, so that you can get some points, your rewards for your health insurance. Other universities, if you'd like that benefit, if you have that benefit access, give me someone's email and I'm happy to reach out to them. It's really easy to get these to qualify, but they just need to know that they're happening. So I'm really excited to have everyone here today. It looks like a few more people have joined. Again, I am recording the session, so if you don't want your video showing on YouTube, click the camera button off. And I was just going over if you have any questions about your rewards benefits through your insurance. If you have an HR representative that I can speak to through the university, I'm happy to have these talks qualify. Most of them do, they just need to be aware of them. So any information I have is wonderful. So let's get started. I know that many of you probably have questions coming in today, things you hope we would cover. So I just wanted you to take a minute to remember what those are. Maybe it's the numbers from your doctor. What do they mean? How do they relate to nutrition? Maybe it's, I know, Cara, I need to eat more whole grains and fruits and vegetables, but what do I look for on the label? Or what do these health claims mean? Or what diet should I really choose? I'm looking for a cookbook. What should I be looking for? Or even just some practical tips. So hopefully we'll cover all of those today. And I did want you to be aware that I've split it up into kind of two categories. We're going to talk about heart health numbers. So we're going to talk about these four here. And then I'm also going to we're going to go on a shopping trip. I mean, who doesn't like to go shopping? I mean, honestly, I don't really like to go shopping for clothes, but the grocery store I'm a fan of. So we're going to talk through the Mediterranean diet, different product selection and health claims. And then we're going to talk about some practical nutrition tips as well. So this should get you a great base of information. I have muted all the lines just for the sake of keeping the structure streamlined, but feel free to send your questions in the chat. If I don't get them to them during the talk, I'll be happy to answer them at the end. I will leave plenty of room for questions. So I'll keep kind of checking the chat box as we go along. If you do have any questions, just shoot them my way and I should be able to see them as they pop up. So the first topic we're going to talk about is cholesterol. What is cholesterol anyways? Cholesterol is a fatty-like substance made in the liver. So this is only found in animal products or humans because we make our own cholesterol as well. So keep that in mind. If you see a health claim on like a bean or legume, or maybe like a soy, option, it's really interesting because sometimes they'll say cholesterol free. I'm like, well, yes, it should be, unless they're adding some kind of animal-based fat. All plant-based options should be cholesterol free. You've probably seen this graphic before, but you have good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. And I'm not always a fan of using the words good and bad, but I will use them a few times during this talk because the research really does support it. So we have healthy cholesterol, HDL, and lousy cholesterol, the LDL. So you can see as the bad cholesterol increases, actually increases the narrowing and the hardening of our arteries. And this is known as something called atherosclerosis. It can be a mouthful, but basically all you need to know is that it's the narrowing and hardening of the arteries, which really does put you at a greater risk for heart disease and stroke. So how do I know my numbers? Your total cholesterol number is your healthy cholesterol plus your lousy cholesterol plus some triglycerides. So we're going to go through those numbers now. You'll go in for a blood draw. They will do your blood work and they'll put it in a vial and then they put it through a centrifuge. It spins the bejeebers out of it and separates it into layers so that it can be easily measured. HDL is high density lipoprotein. So if something is very dense, going back to my daughter's science class, right? If something is dense, it sinks. So the high density is going to shrink to the bottom, and that's going to be a number at the bottom. The low density actually floats. So low density is going to float to the top, and it can be measured there. The way I remember it is HDL is healthy. We want it to be high, our 3 H's. What this does is acts like a vacuum cleaner. It kind of soaks up all the bad cholesterol, takes it back to the liver, and helps you to excrete it. So this is wonderful. We want the HDL to be really high. The other thing to remember is that exercise increases our HDL, which is super good. So if you go to the doctor and they say your HDL is a little bit low, you might just add some exercise. And then we're also going to talk about some different nutrition that you can add to increase your HDL. LDL is lousy, no good. We want it to be low. So LDL, lousy, we want it to be low. It deposits the cholesterol in our body. So if you're thinking back to that previous graphic, the lousy cholesterol is low density. It floats around everywhere, which means that it can get stuck just about anywhere. So what happens is it helps to build up the plaque and reduce the blood flow, which is not what we are looking for. The third component here I mentioned are triglycerides. The recommended level is less than 150, and it is the most common fat in the body. But often when I see this number come back high, it's not because of exercise, although it can be a little bit, but more commonly it's because of excess calories. Most of the time, looking at our American diet, these excess calories are actually coming from the refined carbohydrates and not eating too much cholesterol or eating too much fat. Most of the time, this is caused by excess white refined carbohydrates. So keep that in mind if you're looking at your numbers and you notice your TG, your triglycerides are a little bit high. You may want to take a look at how many calories, are you overeating too frequently? And are they coming from the refined carbohydrates? If that comes back a little bit high, you may find that they draw a liver enzyme or a liver panel. And that would give us a good snapshot of if you're at risk for fatty liver. If those liver enzymes come back high and our triglycerides come back high, means that liver is a little bit fatty, and it's likely, again, because of excess carbohydrates and excess calories in the diet. So what should your numbers be? Unfortunately, we're not 19 or younger, so we're going to look at the bottom 2 rows here. Men, you're in the middle, women are on the bottom row, and you'll see the total cholesterol there. Non-HDL just really means total cholesterol minus the HDL. And you say, well, Cara, that doesn't add up. I can do math. 200 minus 40 is 160, not 130. That's correct. So the little bit of difference there comes from something called very low density lipoproteins, and it's not measured very much. It doesn't tend to have a big impact on our heart health. So what we focus on here is the total, the LDL, and the HDL. Remember, LDL, lousy, HDL is healthy. So we want those to be high. On to blood pressure. This is known as the silent killer, which is not something fun to talk about, but most people are walking around and they don't even realize they have high blood pressure. So if you don't know your blood pressure number, make sure you do know that. It really can, having high blood pressure can weaken your arteries and your veins, and that can, again, put you at risk for increased heart attack and stroke. The normal level should be 120 over 80. And remember, when you're taking your blood pressure, sit up straight, 2 feet on the floor, relax your arms. You don't want to come jogging in. Make sure you've relaxed a little bit, and also make sure you're really well hydrated. If you're going in for a doctor's appointment, make sure that you're well hydrated. That will help with our blood pressure readings to make sure we get really what the accurate number is. Thinking about blood pressure, you can think about it, right? We have the closing in of the arteries and the hardening because of the cholesterol. But if we have a tube or a hose and you have water going through it, like your garden hose, the more water you push through that same size hose, the more pressure increases. So we're going to talk about sodium. Sodium and water go together. The more sodium we have in our diet, the more water we're going to be actually holding in those veins, which is going to increase the pressure. The other side of that is, as our cholesterol increases and plaque accumulates in the arteries, it narrows the tube down. So again, we have a regular garden hose and we have a skinny garden hose. If you have to put the same amount of water through that skinny garden hose, the pressure on that hose is going to be higher. Does that make sense? So systolic blood pressure, that big number, is our heart pumping, the pressure going out to our limbs. The diastolic is the pressure coming back to our heart. So of course, the pressure going out is going to be higher, and the pressure coming back is going to be lower because it's already cycled all the way out and it's coming back. So hopefully that helps you understand blood pressure a little bit more. The next one we'll talk about is blood sugar. A lot of times this is talked about as glucose. These terms can be used interchangeably, and you may go in for a fasting glucose level. This really is just, you haven't eaten, how much sugar is in your blood. The other number they often look at now, which is called a hemoglobin A1C. This is a non-fasting. So if you come into the doctor and you're like, I haven't fasted, they're going to check my sugar. Oh no, what should I do? This is a great number. It checks your sugars over a 3-month period. It's an average. So I love to look at this one instead of just one single snapshot. We really do know what's been happening for the last couple of months. Is this something that's a new thing, or is it something that's been going on for a while? And that can give your doctor a better indicator as well. If you don't know these two levels, I do recommend following up with your doctor at your next blood draw or your annual physical, and they will be able to draw these for you with all of your blood work. Why is high blood sugar bad for the heart? Well, it damages the blood vessels. If you know anyone with uncontrolled diabetes, you may know that their limbs and extremities, they don't always get good circulation. They may not heal as well. They may have decreased sensitization, like they can't feel as well. Decreased wound healing, all of those things. So that also works with our blood vessels. The other thing it can do is increase our heart rate. So both of those things work against heart health. But how does that sugar even get in our blood anyways? When we eat a carbohydrate or a sugar or fruit or a starchy vegetable or pasta, bread, rice, these are all examples of carbohydrates, it goes into our stomach and is digested and transposed into a molecule called glucose. This glucose is then absorbed into our blood and it starts circulating around. That's how we get the blood sugars. Okay, but how do we get them out of the right? They got to be there for some reason. The reason they're there is because we need energy. Sugar is our main source of energy in the body. Glucose is our main source of energy. We have a lot of people that are doing a ketogenic diet, and so they're taking all the sugar out, and that's a whole nother topic. So if we want to talk about that at the end, I'm happy to. But for right now, the sugar is in our blood, and we need to get it to the cells so that our cells can use it for energy. We have keys that are called insulin. And those keys go around and they get to the cell and they unlock the door. All the doors are locked. So in order for the sugar to get in, we need to unlock the door. So normally works perfectly. Our door unlocks, the sugars go in, the door closes behind, and now our body can use that for energy. However, if we carry excess weight, if we're not moving our bodies enough and getting enough physical activity, if we have too much sugar in our diet, too many refined carbohydrates on a regular basis, we can end up, or even genetics plays a role for sure. We can get like this little film over the door essentially. So our pancreas is still squeezing out these little insulin keys. But when they go to the door, they bonk out. They can't get in because there's this little film over the door. So what we need to do is remove the film. We can watch our carbohydrate intake. We can increase our movement. That helps to metabolize sugar. Or you may speak with your doctor and they may put you on an oral medication. And that helps to remove the film. So again, that key can get in and the sugars can get in and you can use it for energy rather than that sugar being stuck in the blood causing high blood sugars. Over time, the pancreas is like, I'm getting tired of this. Really, if you can't get it, like I'm going to get conked out here. And it's like, I'm going to take a break. And that may be an instance where you move from an oral medication into an insulin because your pancreas is no longer producing those keys. I hope that makes sense and gives a little bit of a background of even what diabetes is and how our blood sugars are managed. But for the most part, everyone with a regular metabolism, our keys are there. It goes in and uses it as sugar, but that's why we want to keep an eye on these fasting glucose numbers and the A1C so we get a good picture overall of our glucose metabolism. The next one I want to talk about is not just weight. A lot of our doctors are talking about BMI, body mass index, a height versus weight measurement, or they may just take a weight on the scale. I like the waist circumference gives us a good idea, but again, it's just one number, and I would prefer that we look at our overall health and avoid the diet culture, body shaming, things like that. I want to make sure that we're healthy overall and not just looking at a number on the scale. And to that point, even just 20 minutes of movement per day has really shown to increase our heart health. So you don't have to run a marathon. You just need to move a little bit. So we're going to focus on eating well and moving more, but I wanted to talk about this number called metabolic syndrome. Maybe some of you have heard of this, or your doctor has mentioned you might have metabolic syndrome. Well, that's great, but what the heck is this? This takes into account a lot of the numbers that we're already talking about. The high triglycerides, the hypertension is high blood pressure, high cholesterol, which are those cholesterol numbers, insulin resistance, which is the sugar numbers that we talked about, and visceral obesity, so that's the waist circumference. So that kind of takes all of those into account, and that can be a better, well-rounded indicator of how your heart health is. So what do we do now? The American Heart Association recommends plant-based diets. And you go, oh, Cara, come on. I can't go vegan. This is just crazy. I came to this talk, I wanted to learn, but I really can't. And believe me, I grew up on a cattle farm in Wisconsin, so you can't tell me to take all the meat out either. I do respect plant-based diets, and that's where we're going to go. Plant-based really means plant-based. It doesn't mean vegan. Even in the literature, when they, scientific literature, when they talk about plant-based, they really are talking about based on plants. So the three that the American Heart Association recommends is the Mediterranean style diet, the DASH diet, and plant-based, which can be more of a vegan style. So Mediterranean style is where we're going to work on today, the Mediterranean diet. If you're looking for a cookbook, if you're looking for recipes, Mediterranean diet is one that I feel like is very palatable. Everything tastes really good. It's very fresh, colorful. It's easy to follow. You'll be able to find things in the grocery store to meet that need. The DASH diet was from 1997, I believe, late 90s. It was called the Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. So though this is still a plant-based diet, it does include a little bit more dairy and meat products than the Mediterranean style diet and really focuses on low sodium. Plant-based, again, is our vegan option. So I would encourage you, even just once or twice a week, try a meatless meal. You don't have to go complete vegan, but just see, it's great for the environment and our sustainability, but it's also really good for our health. Those animal products can tend to increase our inflammation. They can tend to increase our cholesterol and our saturated fat. All of those things work against our heart. So today we're going to focus on the Mediterranean style diet. It's kind of a red light, green light system is the best way I can think of it. The DASH diet really says like have 7 to 8 servings of whole grains, have 4 to 5 servings of fruits and vegetables. And the Mediterranean style diet kind of goes lean more towards this and kind of limit that as opposed to strict numbers and counting. So we want to limit our refined sugars and saturated fat and our highly processed foods. We're going to find that those tend to be very high in sodium. We're going to have a moderate intake of the low fat dairy products, fish, and poultry. You go, Cara, beef isn't on there. Right. Doesn't mean you can't have it. It just means that we really are going to have it in moderation. And definitely the bulk of this, the focus of this, if you were looking at a pyramid, it would be the base, the structure is fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans and legumes, and our nuts and seeds also. So let's go shopping. Choose fats and proteins carefully. So I kind of broke this up by category. We're going to talk about fats, whole grains, sodium, fruits, and vegetables. So the first one we're focusing on here is our fats and our proteins, which helps to manage our cholesterol. Oh my goodness, I can't talk this morning. Hydrogenation is a hydrogen atoms are added. So what is trans fat? We're going to go from not so good fats down to the best ones to choose. So this one, if I can say any fats are bad, this is one of them. I don't want to get too much into chemistry, but up at the right-hand side here, you're going to see 2 models, a cis and a trans. And you're like, Cara, come on, this is too much for me. I'm not a science major, but I'm kind of nerdy and I like to explain why it's not good for you. All bonds in nature are cis. They look like this. They're hooked together right in the middle and they all face the same direction. So our body knows exactly how to break them apart and use them for energy. The trans bond was created by pushing in hydrogen, push, 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 and it flips the bond. And that bond flips and makes it more stable on a shelf so that it doesn't go rancid. It was originally created for like our bakery items and our crackers and things to help so they could stay on the shelf for a while without tasting really yucky, which you think, yeah, that sounds like a good thing. We don't want it to last forever, but we definitely don't want all our food to go bad really quickly. But what they found is when they flipped this bond around by adding an extra hydrogen, is that our body didn't know what it was. And so it said, I don't know what that is. Maybe I'll just like stick it on the walls of my arteries and save it for later. I'll figure it out later. And it never figured it out. But so what happens is this is really not good for our heart health. It's bad. I hate to say it, it's bad. So it increases our lousy cholesterol, which is not what we want. And it decreases our healthy cholesterol, which is not what we want. The good thing is that manufacturers have realized this and they really have taken it out for the most part. They can't have any trans fat on the label. So you'll see even this product, it was some cracker label, is that there's 0 trans fat. However, there's still partially hydrogenated oils in the product. That hydrogenated oils really indicates that they've put the extra pressure and hydrogenated the oil to keep it a little bit more shelf stable. So kind of keep that in mind. Next, saturated fat. And you're like, oh gosh, Cara, chemistry again. Oh no, it's okay, bear with me. If you think about stacking bricks on top of one another, it's very sturdy structure, right? So that means that these saturated fats are solid at room temperature. They're not wiggling around all over. They're a really nice solid block structure, like our butter. Okay, so sources of this would be your red meat, whole milk and cheeses, coconut oil. You can give me grief about it. Coconut oil is a saturated fat. It may be digested slightly different than butter. However, it is the same saturated fat that is not good for your heart. So keep that in mind. If you're cooking with coconut oil because it's the new craze, you may want to decrease it a little bit or not just use it. Oh, it's coconut oil. It's wonderful. It is fine. It is fine to have, just like butter is fine to have, but we want to use it in moderation. So it's an in-between. It increases the lousy, which is not good, but it also increases the healthy, which is good. So it's kind of a wash, right? It's not good, it's not bad, but we want to limit it a little bit and try to stick to more of these healthy oils. These monounsaturated fats are liquid at room temperature. You can see the structure at the top again. Because of the double bond, it kinks it so that it's liquidy. It kind of like moves around. It's not that solid structure like a brick. So we're looking at this and we're thinking olive oil. Avocado. I know everyone's like, ooh, avocado toast. Like, how are you going to make me eat that? I'm not going to make you eat it, but if you haven't tried it, you might want to. Maybe avocado on your eggs or avocado in a smoothie. Try some of these healthy oils. Maybe you want to use an olive oil pan spray. Instead of the regular Pam, get the Pam olive oil. These are good. They decrease our lousy. They increase our healthy, which is both exactly what we want. Polyunsaturated fats are essential. That means that we cannot make them in our body. We have to eat them. So food sources of these would be your fatty fish, walnuts, like your nuts and seeds, and soy. They help to build membranes and cover our nerves. So they're really good for our musculoskeletal health. And they help with blood clotting and reducing inflammation. So again, all really good things. And again, similar to the monounsaturated, they decrease our lousy, increase our healthy, and decrease our triglycerides. So they're going to be really good for our overall health. So making sure that we get these in is really important. So an overall summary, you love it. You like these oils over here. Medium, limit it. That's those saturated fats. And lose it. Those are those trans fats and hydrogenated oils. And the American Heart Association actually puts coconut oil in the lose it category. So just something to keep in mind. Just because something is trendy doesn't mean that it is good for our overall health. All right. Next, this is just an overview. What could you do when you go shopping? We mentioned the Pam sprays. Maybe you want to look for the liquid olive oil. Maybe you want to get a spritzer. Those are really good. You can put like rosemary in an olive oil and like use it as a spritzer. Salad dressings, you could look for an oil vinegar option instead of the other hydrogenated oil options. Nuts and seeds, these are great to use as a snack, especially the individual pack ones, so you're not like down in too many nuts and seeds. They can be used as a topping on a salad or even on your yogurt, which is great. Eat less legs. Oh, Cara, what the heck do you mean by this? It literally means eat less legs. So if you think about beef and pork are our cow and pig products, we want to limit these a little bit more. We want to stick to our fowl, our chicken and our turkey, things with 2 legs, right? Seems kind of strange. And then we want to make sure that we really are focusing on fish a couple of times a week. Those don't have any legs. So if you can focus on the things that eat less legs, that would be great. The freezer section is wonderful now. I know if I can't make it in the time it takes me to make a frozen pizza, we're going to throw in a frozen pizza too. So to be honest, it has to be quick. It has to be easy. I'm sorry. So one of the things is to pre-marinate. Our refrigerator section in the grocery store has some great pre-marinated options, and even the freezer section. They have some things that are lightly breaded or have lots of herbs and spices, but not a lot of extra oils or extra carbohydrates that are refined, just to really make sure that you are getting a flavorful fresh fish into your diet. More whole grains. So on to the next topic, we want to decrease our blood pressure and our cholesterol, and it can help with our weight management. So we look at whole grains as a couple types of fibers. Soluble fiber is really like a sponge. It soaks up some of that bad cholesterol, again, kind of like our HDL actually, and it helps us to excrete it. So you may have seen oats having this heart health claim. Good for heart health, excellent for heart health. Cheerios and oatmeal have this claim, and over to the left, you'll see why. It has to, in order for it to reach the heart health claim, it has to be low saturated fat, low cholesterol, and high in fiber. So again, we're looking for those criteria to help us choose these great whole grain options. Insoluble fiber actually is roughage. It's not calories. It's not really even digested. It adds bulk, and this helps to sweep away our bad cholesterol, and it helps to keep us full. So if we're looking for weight management or we're looking to that satiety factor, whole grains can be a great option. I do have to note though, fruits and vegetables also have wonderful soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. So when we get to the fruit and vegetable section, you may see some of these same qualities as well. But one of the biggest questions I get is, what's the difference? That bread aisle is so long. How do you choose which breads you want? So whole wheat, you want to look for the word whole wheat, whole grain, the whole thing, because that soluble fiber is the inside of your seed here, and the shell is the insoluble fiber. Soluble inside, insoluble outside. So just like you can take a sunflower seed, take the shell off and call it a sunflower seed, you can do the same thing with wheat. You can take off the shell and still call it wheat. So you really do want to look for the word whole. That means they're using the whole thing. So what the heck is white whole wheat? Well, you've all heard of a Granny Smith apple, right? There's lots of different kinds of apples. There's lots of different kinds of wheat. And white whole wheat actually comes from just a lighter colored wheat. It has a lighter texture. It has a less intense flavor. And so that can be a great place to start if you're not sure, you really don't like whole wheat bread. Maybe you want to try a white whole wheat. Multigrain is also a good option, but it just means there's multiple grains. If these multiple grains are whole, that's even better, right? So we really do want them to be whole more than multiple. So whole wheat options, whole grain options. If they're multigrain and they're whole, that's great. But be leery. Some of them say 100% wheat. I'm seeing this less and less, but just like we said, you can take the shell off of a sunflower seed and call it a sunflower seed. You could say 100% sunflower. Yes, that's true. You could still say that about wheat. Take the shell off, 100% wheat. Yes, that's true, but we're looking for the word whole. So let's look at a couple products and see if we can tell the difference. Up at the top, I just wanted you to note, just because it's organic doesn't mean it's whole. So organic wheat flour doesn't say the word whole. So again, it's wheat flour, but they've taken the shell off. So just because it's organic doesn't mean it's whole. These are all Arnold bread products, and it doesn't really matter the brand. I just wanted it to be comparable. So on the far left here, you have a refined bread, white bread. In the middle, we have wheat, 100% whole wheat bread. And on the far right, you're going to see that we have whole grain bread. So let's look through them. The first one, you're going to see enriched wheat flour, right? We don't see the word whole. So that really does mean it's more of a white bread product, refined product. The middle one is whole wheat. You see it, first ingredient, whole. Ingredients are listed by weight in the ingredient list. So if there's more of it in the product, it takes up more weight. It's going to be towards the front. So one bowling ball, you know, even if there's only one of them, it's going to be in the front because it's heavy. It takes up a lot of the weight, the bulk of the product. So whole wheat, that's the bulk of the product. That's good, has the word whole. The next one is multigrain. So I'm interested in this because I love multigrain bread. I just want to make sure they're using the whole grain. So if you look at it, we see whole wheat flour. Then you have bulgur, okay, fine, flaxseed, oats, brown rice. So brown rice is the whole grain because the white rice is the inside and the brown makes it the shell. So that's great. And then there's some seeds in here too. So to be honest, if I were choosing, I would choose this multigrain product. Even though I said look for the word whole, because the multigrain product is all whole, I would choose that one. So hopefully that helps you navigate the bread aisle a little bit better. Some of your whole grain options might be whole wheat bread, brown rice, like we mentioned. Quinoa is a great one. And they even have great microwave blends now of like the rice and quinoa together. Beans and lentils are also good. They're also inexpensive, great for the environment. Again, very sustainable option. My March talk is going to be on plant-based options, so it should tie right in and follow right closely to what we're talking about today. And make sure that half of your grains are whole. They trick kids in school now. They put like the white piece of bread on the top and the whole wheat bread on the bottom. So the kids are like, yeah, grilled cheese. And they like eat it and they don't even realize they're getting whole grain because they don't ever flip it over. So you could do the same thing if you wanted. But try to choose like a whole grain bread or a whole wheat wrap when you're going to the store. You may choose a rice or quinoa pasta. They do have whole wheat pastas. You just have to cook them a little longer. Otherwise, they really are going to be that really al dente. A little bit tougher to eat. Oatmeal is great. Maybe you want to add in some oatmeal to breakfast. Maybe you want to do an overnight oats. Maybe you want to add something into a smoothie. You could even add in some like flaxseed or something like that. So those would be great options to get in your whole grains and help with your blood pressure, your cholesterol, and your heart health. All right, on to sodium. Sodium really does affect blood pressure the most. So here's a label. I wanted to go over it. Sometimes it can be confusing. So we want to start here at the top. What is the serving size and how many of them are in the container? Remember that the serving is based off of one serving. All the nutrition label is one serving. Some of the newer labels now, you'll see it side by side, one serving. And if you were to eat the whole product, like the whole bag of chips or the whole soda or the whole Gatorade, they'll have them both listed there. But you want to make sure you know which one you're looking at. Always draw a line under sodium. You want the things above sodium to be lower. You want the things below sodium to be higher, typically. Again, because we have cholesterol, saturated fat, trans fat at the top, and sodium. And we've got our vitamins and minerals and fiber at the bottom. So that's why we want them that way. As a quick reference, I don't look at milligrams, grams, etc. It's too many to count. If you look at the percentages, the percent daily value, that gives you a good idea. Is it high or low? 5% or less is low. 20% or more is high. So a quick reference, 1 cup. Okay, if I have 1 cup of this serving, sodium 20%. Oh, high. Put it back on the shelf, right? Or no, I have to stick to this serving size because the sodium is really high in this product. Whereas you could say, oh, it's really low in fiber, there's 0, right? Of course, you could look at 0 grams, but it's also 0%. Vitamin A, low in vitamin A, low in vitamin C, good amount of calcium, low in iron, because those are all less than 5. This example is mac and cheese, so we can see why. But overall, 15, 18, those percentages of fat and saturated fat are a little bit high, especially our sodium. So this product would not be great for our heart health. What do these health claims mean? If it's sodium free, less than 5 milligrams, low sodium, again, we just mentioned less than 5%. So that correlates. If you see a product says low sodium, it's going to be less than 5% sodium. No salt added really does mean no salt has been added. Reduced sodium is 25% of the high in sodium. Doesn't mean that it's low sodium. I did see over the weekend at the grocery store, we actually purchased them. They're great. There are some tortillas that said light salted or lightly salted, and it was 50% of the original. So if you're looking for something, look for light as opposed to reduced. You could also look again for no salt added or sodium-free products. The heart check, again, you see it very at the bottom, that little heart with the check. Yep, the American Heart Association certified check. What does that mean? You know, obviously we know it's heart healthy, but what does it really mean? It means that it has more nutrients, less sodium, and low saturated fat and trans fat. So those really are great products. It doesn't mean you don't need to watch the portion sizes, but it does mean that they do meet heart health criteria. So another great like emblem or logo to look for. So what about sodium? If you rinse your beans, it takes off almost 50% of the sodium. Super easy. You get black beans, rinse them off a few times, then use them. Chickpeas, you're going to put on your salad, rinse them off a few times, then add them into your salad or into your curry. Try a salt substitute. Mrs. Dash is the common example, but there are a lot of different brands out there now, but I still love Mrs. Dash. The original isn't my favorite, but a lot of the other ones, the garlic herb, the chipotle, there's a lot of great seasoning blends that are out there and they don't have any sodium. So those are great options to add lots of flavor. You may consider an Instapot. It infuses the flavor because of the pressure cooker and you're cooking at home. So remember, the more we cook at home, the more we have control over the sodium numbers. The salty 6, as identified by the American Heart Association, are the things that are most common in our diet that have the most amount of sodium. So we should be watching how much we have of these. Breads, pizza, tacos, fast food sandwiches or hamburgers, deli meat and cured meats, and soups. And I taught this class last week and they're like, oh, those are my favorite foods. You're taking them all away. I don't mean to take them away. You just really do want to watch your portion sizes. The recommended amount of sodium per day is 2,300 milligrams. 1 teaspoon, you know what I'm talking about, those little teaspoons, has 2,300 milligrams. So again, when you're salting your food or you're going to a restaurant, you don't know how much sodium they're putting in, you actually may be getting a lot more than you think. What about fruits and vegetables? They help everything. They decrease your blood pressure, they help with your cholesterol, they help with your blood sugar and your weight management. So this fiber has lots of soluble and insoluble fibers, which we talked about, which is great for cholesterol. For your blood pressure, potassium actually counters sodium. So we just talked about how our diets are a little bit higher in sodium, but actually if we add in more fruits and vegetables, it can help to counter the sodium. Also, for eating more fruits and vegetables, we're probably not eating out as much. You didn't notice any of the salty 6 being any fruits or vegetables. So that does help as well. Antioxidants are anything colorful. This helps to reduce inflammation, and we all know that inflammation is not good for the heart. So again, thinking about your fruits and vegetables, lots of color. Each color has a different key nutrient. Eat a rainbow. I don't mean Skittles. Blood sugar, different carbohydrates. Have lots of fruit. Fruit has lots of carbohydrates, but they're slower to digest. So instead of getting a spike in blood sugar and a drop, you're going to get more of a curve over time, which is much easier for those little keys to manage. They don't have to punk out a whole bunch and then use them as quick as they can. What happens is your body can produce it over time. You get more rolling hills of glucose, which is great for your blood sugars. Also helps with weight management. Fiber helps to keep us full. It helps our gut bacteria, which helps us manage our hunger. And we really want to make sure that we're staying well hydrated. And fruits and vegetables have a high water content. So that really can help us make sure we're getting in enough water throughout the day. So what do? Eat a rainbow, half your plate fruits and veggies. You can sneak them in. That's fine. There's a lot of different noodle products and stuff out there, or you can try zoodles, you know, like the little rice, you like your spiral, your zucchini, and make zoodles. Those are a good way to do it. But they even have like Green Giant, a few other brands. They have zucchini pasta and stuff already in the freezer section. So you can just buy it there and you're good to go. You may want to try to add more color to your lunch or your dinner meal. So if you're going out for lunch, say, how can I add one more color? Think of what colors you've got on your plate. How can you add one more color? Is there a way you can add something? Other things, make sure you're saving time. Prep things on the weekend, buy pre-sliced, use individual containers. Maybe you want to buy frozen or buy something canned. If you do get a can, make sure it's in water. And I always tell people, if you're prepping on the weekend, that's great, but you don't have to stand in the kitchen all by yourself, right? If it helps you to like go to the coffee table and watch Netflix or watch your favorite show on TV, or maybe it's like a special show that's on Friday nights, sit at the table, take out your individual containers or your Ziploc bags, have like we call it a garbage bowl, a big bowl that you're going to throw your peelings in or whatever, and bring your knives and stuff right there. You can prep everything really easily. The other thing is that all of these things can be found in our retail and our dining hall locations. Have to mention that I'm Sodexo, right? So we want to make sure we were talking about that. But the vegetarian logo is there, the vegan logo is there, and mindful, which is our heart health, overall healthy wellness option. So I think that's great to look for those. And you can find a lot of fruits and vegetables, healthy oils, whole grains in our retail locations as well. We got a lot of new packaged products that you can find there. So if you're looking for a snack in between meetings or classes, you can find those there. This is a good guide for a plate. Half your plate fruits and vegetables, a quarter plate whole grains, and a quarter plate of protein. This is just a good guide. Don't forget the healthy oils. Don't forget your water. Water can really help too with your blood pressure. Making sure you're drinking enough water can help excrete any extra sodium as well. So that works together. I think a lot of people say, well, if I have too much, my blood pressure is high, if I drink more water, wouldn't that increase my blood pressure? Actually can help to work the opposite. The other thing I want to mention is don't forget this little exercise man down here. Stay active. Don't forget exercise. It helps all as well, just like fruits and vegetables. So I know I'm a dietitian, but I can't help but mention exercise. It helps our blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, and our weight. The American Heart Association recommends 150 minutes per week. That's only about 20 minutes a day. You can do it 30 minutes a few times a week, or you can do 20 minutes a day. It's not too bad. Get out for a walk. Enjoy the sunshine that we've got out there today now that all that snow is gone. But get out for a walk. Go for a hike. There's a lot of different things. Do something that's enjoyable to you. Maybe it's yoga outside, or just taking extra meditation time. I know that's not exercise, but we do need to make sure we're taking care of our mental health as well. That's one that I didn't touch on here, but definitely stress and mental health. And also cigarette smoking and alcohol intake can definitely impact our heart health. So making sure that all of those are in check as well is very, very important. So how's your heart health? Do you know your numbers? Were your questions answered? I asked you to think about your questions before we started the talk today. My email address is there. Make sure that you know your numbers: cholesterol, blood pressure, glucose, and if metabolic syndrome or your overall weight. And check the heart calculator. So before the talk started, I did put some resources in the chat. So if you scroll up a little while before everybody joined, you'll see all of the links to everyone's dining webpage. If you're interested in adding dining dollars, or if you're interested in signing up for a meal plan, that really does give you a good value. You can buy meals ahead or a meal plan, but a lot of times that does save you some money and it helps you with your budget. So one of the things I put on there was my email address. I also included the YouTube channel that I started. I will be uploading this presentation to YouTube later today. So if you missed it, or you have a coworker who had to duck out early, they can see the recording there. And I also included a heart health calculator by Mayo Clinic. Or if you just Google search Mayo Clinic heart calculator, you can type in all your numbers and it gives you a heart health risk. And I think those are really helpful and informative. So take the time to do that. And then just think about, is there one goal that you got from today? Is there one thing you hope to change based on what we talked about today? I'm ready for your questions. My slide didn't update for the last one. My next talk is going to be on the exact same day next month. So it's actually March 23rd, again at 11:30 Central Time. And we're going to be talking about plant-based diets for National Nutrition Month. So if you're able to join, please jump on the call. And if you have an HR person or someone that would help me distribute this information to other faculty and staff, please send their email address along so I can get connected. And or if you're interested in those health benefits, let me know if you have questions about that and I can help get in touch with the right people and we can coordinate our conversations. If you're looking for additional resources, the American Heart Association is there, and Mediterranean diet resources I have listed there as well. So if you have additional questions, please let me know. I am going to look on the chat and see if anything has come up. Let's see. Someone had trouble hearing, but it looks like they got back on. When having blood tested for cholesterol, is that a fasting blood draw? Yes, it typically is, although check with your doctor. There is a newer way to check cholesterol now that they adjust the numbers based on non-fasting. So I think the important thing is to make sure you talk with your physician before you go in for your appointment and know, are you doing blood work today? Do I need to be fasting? And then when you get your blood work, just say, just a reminder, I'm not fasting, or just a reminder, I am fasting. And so that way they're pulling the right numbers when they give you their references. So if you come in and you're not fasting, your doctor said that's fine. They want to make sure that they're comparing those cholesterol numbers with the non-fasting, but typically cholesterol numbers are done fasting. Good question. Any other questions you can think of? Well, I thank everyone for your time today. I will hang on for a few more minutes. If you have any additional questions, just put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them for you. Otherwise, hopefully you will join me on March 23rd for our plant-based diet for National Nutrition Month. Have a great afternoon. Enjoy the sunshine, everyone.